This is the Invite Health Podcast, and I am Amanda Williams. On today's episode, I am going to be talking about what you can do to support your eyes during this time. We know that an estimated 95% of Americans own a cell phone, and a lot of people are on their computers right now watching TV. There was a study that showed that on average, people check their smartphones about 50 times per day, and we have to be cognizant of the fact that over time can create potential damage to our eyes. So not only from the blue light, but we also have to think about the fatigue and the strain within the eye muscles. So I want to talk about some nutrients that can be beneficial. I know a lot of people right now are out of work, at home, watching TV, on their computers, checking their phones on a regular basis. So I want to give you the best information when it comes to what you can do to support your eyeballs. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that you subscribe to the Invite Health Podcast. You can leave us a review. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health. All of the information on today's episode will be linked in the episode description, and you can visit invitehealth.com/podcast for more information. So let's get started. Let's talk about eye health and what you can be doing right now. We have recognized over time the damaging effects that blue light can do to our eyes. When you think about UV light that comes from the sun, and that's blue light. So we think about the blue light. That's why people wear sunglasses, to try and protect the eye from the rays from the sun. And we also know that sunlight, when we're directly exposed to that, contains about 25% blue light. Now, interestingly enough, when we look at light-emitting diodes, LEDs, coming from our computer screens, our televisions, thinking about smartphones, those can emit upwards of 35% of that retina-threatening blue light. This is why you want to make sure that you're taking the right nutrients day in and day out. Powerful carotenoids that you find in certain fruits and vegetables are very beneficial to eye health. I remember years ago when people used to say, oh, if you eat carrots, they're good for your eyes. Well, there's a reason why. When you think about all of those powerful carotenoids, those very potent antioxidants that are contained within those deep pigmented fruits and vegetables, they certainly help to fend off oxidative stress and damage that can be brought upon from UV exposure and from those light emitting diodes. So this is why we always want to think about diet first. And I understand that right now it's not as easy to have access to some of your foods that maybe you're used to eating, and hopefully you're already adhering to a Mediterranean diet, in which case you're already incorporating fruits and vegetables into your routine. But in the event that you are not, then I encourage people to look towards nutrients such as the Reds HX or the Greens HX, or a combination of them both. Heck, you can go ahead and put a scoop of each, and you are going to be getting a whole heck of a lot of antioxidants when doing that. So that's just one aspect. Then we can look at the very targeted nutrients when it comes to eye health, thinking about things like lutein, zeaxanthin, all of lycopene is another one. Your main vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C. Vitamin C is very key for eye health. Oftentimes people don't recognize the role that vitamin C plays in terms of protecting the retinal cells from oxidative stress and damage. So we don't want to damage our retina, that's for sure. But we want to make sure that we do have all of those adequate nutrients in our diet every single day. So when we think about 95% of Americans owning a cell phone and checking those cell phones at least 50 times per day, that's a whole lot of blue light that can create issues such as age-related eye disease. When we look at issues such as macular degeneration, for example, or cataracts, there's different pathophysiology as to why those occur, but we certainly can correlate the low intake of dietary carotenoids, things like lutein and zeaxanthin, for example. We also recognize when people have higher intake of those powerful carotenoids, that this can actually create a situation where you're lowering that risk for the development of things such as macular degeneration. Now, cataracts, on the other hand, this is going to be a combination of obviously oxidative stress that occurs, but also glycation. So if you are not controlling your blood sugar, doesn't mean that you're diabetic, but if you're not controlling your blood sugar, you can have glycation that occurs. And glycation happens when you have excess circulating sugar, and that sugar is trying to find a home, and oftentimes it can find a home on the lens of the eyeballs. So hence, we don't want to have a situation where we have too much glucose circulating. So this is once again why adhering to a Mediterranean diet very advantageous. So I'm going to tell you about some nutrients, why they're important for your eyes, as well as things that you can be doing to make sure that you're not getting your eyes fatigued and strained during this time. If you find that you're sitting in front of your computer more often, or maybe you're watching TV, 10 hours throughout your day just to try to pass the time, I want to give you some tips and pointers, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by InviteHealth.com. For over 20 years, Invite Health has provided premium quality supplements and expert advice you can trust. Now, first-time customers can enjoy an exclusive offer. Visit InviteHealth.com/podcast or click the link in this episode description. That's InviteHealth.com/podcast for your exclusive offer on Invite Health products. Invite Health offers the resources you need to make important decisions about your health. Chat live with degreed healthcare professionals, get product information, and find retail locations near you at InviteHealth.com. You can also learn about our new genetic testing program and our exclusive Invite Fitness Wellness program. Follow Invite Health on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast today. Now back to our episode.
And welcome back. So we are living in a world of digital technology more so than ever right now. A lot of people are at home, working from home. Maybe you're watching your TV most of the day. You're checking your cell phone for different updates. And we want to take all measures to keep our eyeballs nice and safe. So we understand the negative impact that comes from blue light. And you can look at this layer of pigmented cells, and it's called the retinal pigment epithelium. These pigmented cells are very rich in all of these powerful carotenoids, things like lutein and zeaxanthin and other carotenoids. And if we're not getting adequate from our diet, then as we continuously have that exposure, that upwards of 35% blue light coming from our devices, then that wears away at that retinal pigment epithelium, in which case we don't have the normal defenses to fend off that blue wavelength. And then we're going to start to see the impact in terms of damage occurring to the rods and cones, and certainly damage to the retinal cells. And if the retinal cells cannot regenerate, then we end up with more permanent eye damage. This is something that I've talked about on radio programs in the past is, we really need to start looking at some clinical trials where we are assessing the eye health, the visual acuity of younger populations right now. People who, are 20 years old, 25 years old, who have been sitting in front of computers since they were toddlers. This is something that I think we need to start assessing, because I do believe that continual emission of blue light will start to speed up that rate in which we're seeing macular degeneration and other eye conditions. So we understand the damaging effects, and we also understand that when it comes to dietary intake of carotenoids, we don't do too hot here in this country. We are not big on fruit and vegetable intake. I always give the statistics that 75% at least of Americans are not getting adequate fruit intake, which is 2 cups per day, and an alarming 87% of Americans are not getting adequate vegetable intake. So if you're not getting your fruits and vegetables, where in the world are you getting your carotenoids from? Especially if you're not taking a supplement. So that's why I mentioned the reds HX and the greens HX. But you can also look at our eye health formulations as well. You can look at our macula advanced formulation. This is a really nice one to have on board during this time, because not only is it going to be supportive when we think about overall eye health and the blue light and the eye fatigue that can occur, it also has really great nutrients that are immune supportive. So when you break this product down and you see it has vitamin C, it has vitamin A, it contains NAC and zinc, so N-acetylcysteine as well as zinc. All of these nutrients are beneficial not only for the health of the eyes, but also for the immune system. So let's go back and let's talk a little bit about what can occur if we're experiencing what's known as digital eye strain. And this can happen relatively fast. And people say you're sitting there, you're staring at your cell phone, you're staring at your computer screen, and you start to experience blurred vision, dry eyes. Some people can experience headaches. There's a lot of different ways that this can occur. So one of the things that you always want to do is, if you are finding yourself sitting in front of your computer screen or continuously looking at your smartphone, staring at your television, is to occasionally, maybe every few minutes, try and get yourself into a rhythm or into a routine where you take your eyes off of that screen and you look at something off in the distance and you try to focus on that, because that helps those eye muscles, and it can be very, very important when it comes to dealing with those effects, such as the headaches, such as the eye fatigue and strain that occurs when you are continuously looking at a light emitting device. So these are all things that are important. We don't want to increase our risk for things such as macular degeneration. And we know that blue light wavelength, when it hits the retina, it sends off this cascading effect that damages those photoreceptors. And once we do that, if those retinal cells cannot repair themselves, then we are in for it when it comes to irreversible eye damage. This is why I'm such an advocate that people not only incorporate into your diet every single day those powerful carotenoids coming from fruits and vegetables, but also taking a supplement that is going to be comprehensive, that contains nutrients such as zeaxanthin, such as vitamin C, lutein, and lycopene. Lutein in particular, very, very helpful when we think about the damaging effects of blue light. I'm going to tell you just how important lutein is. That goes even beyond that of eye health. And I'm going to tell you all about that, but we're going to take a quick break first. We'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by InviteHealth.com. For over 20 years, Invite Health has provided premium quality supplements and expert advice you can trust. Now, first-time customers can enjoy an exclusive offer. Visit invitehealth.com/podcast or click the link in this episode description. That's invitehealth.com/podcast for your exclusive offer on Invite Health products. Invite Health offers the resources you need to make important decisions about your health. Chat live with degreed healthcare professionals, get product information, and find retail locations near you at invitehealth.com. You can also learn about our new genetic testing program and our exclusive Invite Fitness Wellness program. Follow Invite Health on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast today. Now back to our episode.
And welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about lutein. A lot of times people will ask which carotenoid is the most important. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's that comprehensive blend of all of those main carotenoids that you derive from your fruits and vegetables. If you know you are not getting adequate fruits and vegetables, then consider the Reds HX and the Greens HX as part of your daily routine to help optimize that carotenoid intake. Now, when we look at lutein, this has long been studied when we think about its visual benefits. But we also know so much more about lutein now, understanding the impact that lutein can have in the cardiovascular system. For example, lutein is a carotenoid that we find in vegetables as well as other plants. You find it in quite a high abundance in green leafy vegetables, things like kale, for example. And we know that the lutein itself targets advanced glycation end products, which is also very key when we talked about the cataract formation. So we want to make sure we're keeping our blood sugar in check. So one would think if you're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, that helps because we're getting fiber. So it all kind of ties in together. This is why always adhering to a healthy diet, not these crash diets that are out there where you're drinking water and cayenne for 2 days. You have to stick with an everyday healthy lifestyle. So lifestyle modification is really what we're after. Now, looking at all the different studies on lutein, this is really very impressive. Looking at the impact of high lutein intake in terms of dietary intake on coronary heart disease, and showing that people who had the highest intake of lutein from their diet had a significant reduction in the risk of developing coronary heart disease. Same thing with stroke. Also, when they looked at metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is kind of that precursor leading into diabetes. So lutein is certainly your friend, and we understand the way that lutein is working in the body, not only as this antioxidant to fend off those blue rays, but also when we look at how it is working as kind of an intermediate step when it comes to different aspects of activation of our immune system, when we look at the way cholesterol is transported in the body, there are a lot of different ways that lutein is used. So this is why when you look at a product like Macula Advanced, you're getting all of these key nutrients. We also have a lutein by itself. It's partnered up with DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acid. So we know omega-3s are helpful when we think about easing inflammation. Remember, inflammation can be our enemy in the body. Acute inflammation is one thing, chronic inflammation, whole different bird. So we want to make sure we're always targeting inflammation by having adequate omega-3s. So our lutein plus DHA, good option, especially for those who are finding themselves sitting in front of their computer at a greater rate throughout the day, or if you are one of those many Americans who are continuously staring at your cell phone, it would be advantageous to have extra lutein into your everyday supplementation routine. Now, think once again about that digital eye strain and how the muscles of the eyes can really get fatigued out. So one of the things that I had mentioned is to make sure that you get yourself into the habit of taking your eyes off of that computer screen, even if it's for 30 seconds, a few times every 10-15 minutes, and look off into the distance. Allow those eye muscles to have to work, to refocus. This can do so much when it comes to helping your eyes if you are continuously exposed to blue light. So eye exercises are important. Certainly the foods that you eat make a huge difference. And we do understand that at this time, a lot of people are working from home. And when you're working from home, it's a much different means. When you're working in an office environment, you may find that you're getting up frequently throughout the day, moving away from your desk. But where if you're working at home, you may find that you are continuously in the same place and you are not getting up as frequently. So maybe you're staring at your computer screen or your cell phone a lot more throughout the day. So I do encourage you to make sure that you incorporate healthy carotenoids into your diet. Fruits and vegetables do matter. They make a huge difference. And also, we know we can supplement with these carotenoids. We can add in Reds HX. We can add in Greens HX. We can throw in our Macula Advanced formulation. We can look at the lutein plus. So many different nutrients. Don't forget about the role of vitamin C. Plays an essential role when we think about fending off oxidative stress to keep our retinal cells nice and safe and healthy. So I want to thank you for tuning in to another Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Make sure that you subscribe, leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health. And we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.